Hello, everybody. This is Ryan with firmTRAK Solutions, back again with my partner Karen, also from firmTRAK Solutions. And we were taking a look at this kind of retrospective this week, the week of October, 19th, 2025, and we're kind of reminiscing and reading this Wired article, who is discussing the AWS outages this week that seems to happen annually every year. And we're just kind of, going through the same type of Groundhog's Day thoughts about, the entire internet is connected to one provider and all the issues it causes us every year. And one stat I was looking at is kind of interesting. If you're working full time, that's 2,080 hours a year. And if they're up 99% of the time, that still leaves you with 20 hours of outage every year. So that's basically 3 full days where you can be down at work, relying on these backbone services that sort of run everything related to cloud systems, cloud businesses, small businesses, and just able to function in a modern era. And Karen, what were your thoughts, or what did you experience going through our annual outage holiday?
Well, I think that it was interesting for me, even though we work in cloud-based systems, I really didn't have a lot of interruption. There were some multi-factor situations that popped up, but I thought it was my internet. And so I went to a backup system. And I think this is the takeaway point. When you rely solely on one type of system, it's important to kind of think about a backup system. And I think one of the backup systems is that you could back up to an external drive so that your workday information, a lot of these can be automated as long as it's a external, not connected to the internet, but you just download all your information to that date and back it up so that you have it so it can be restored. And a lot of times these are short-lived events, but if they happen more than once a year, you can find yourself in the same situation a couple of times a year. And, when technology works, it's great. And when it doesn't, it kind of puts a crimp on things. And so, I know you had some different thoughts on this, but.
Yeah, I definitely had the same thought. And I think that's kind of the thought we want to publish for everybody to kind of start thinking about. If you're a small business, you may not have like a consistent or IT provider that does everything for you. I know that's how we are. We sort of do it ad hoc or a cafeteria model when we need something done. But with Windows 11 coming out and they're shutting down the support for Windows 10, I actually am going to look into the options myself for sort of having an offline external hard drive backup for OneDrive, because Windows wants you on OneDrive. They make it very difficult now to have everything not on OneDrive. So we just want to think about backups ourselves. And if there's one thing we can stress from our annual outage from AWS is that as a small business, you should also think about how you're going to back up your key files and systems apart from the cloud-based providers, because everything's on the cloud now, and it's just may not be that way forever or cause issues when they're down. And in the Wired article, their sort of overall theme of their article was they're surprised it doesn't happen more often. So take that for what it's worth. That a mega corp like Microsoft and AWS, they're like, I'm surprised it's up as much as it is, but it shouldn't have taken them as long to fix it as it did. So I don't know, this is what we got right now, and this is what we have to deal with. So it's always interesting to sort of be pulled out of our routines and have to deal with friction or a crisis, and then you should always reevaluate your plans for anything that happens like that. And check with your insurance too, because there might be monetary aspects involved. It's a good time to think about all that stuff.
And I think another point is, especially if you are a law firm and actively working cases, I think it's important to keep not only the confidentiality of your clients, but also the information and all the hard work you've already put into their matters and cases. And I think it's important to have those external backups so you don't lose all your work.
Okay, well, where were you guys at out during your AWS outage this week, let us know in the comments. And as always, you can reach out to us at firmTRAK.com, and we'll see you next time.